Right, so Leah, how's it going Friday afternoon? Gonna have a nice chat now in a sort of run up to ClaimsTech next week, talk about CoreLogic, ask you a few questions, put you on the spot a little bit,
Looking forward to it.
a few bits and pieces. But first of all, obviously, we all know you and CoreLogic, but for the wider audience that are watching this, let's assume that they don't. And we're going to talk about CoreLogic and Symbility, but tell me a bit more about your role at CoreLogic and what you actually do.
Great, yeah, of course. So CoreLogic as a larger business focuses on all things property related, really. So that includes real estate solutions, mortgage underwriting services, and then we have Protect, which is insurance solutions. And that includes claims, risk management and underwriting. So I work in the Protect business and more specifically providing software solutions within the property insurance space. Yep. So some of the people watching this, as you said, may know us or our product is Symbility. Yep. But we were acquired in 2018 by CoreLogic, so now form part of that larger business. From a software perspective, we provide SaaS, so software as a service solutions to all parties involved in property claims.
Yep.
And that includes insurance companies, loss adjusters, claims management companies and suppliers, and even now involving the policyholder in some of that as well. Ultimately, we want to enable parties on the claim to collaborate and process claims efficiently. And digitize and automate processes where appropriate. And this also includes other technology providers, as we provide a cohesive ecosystem for everybody to be involved in one place. Personally, so I've been working in insurance now for over 12 years. I've worked in an insurance company and within supply chain in a few different roles. I then moved to work in insurance software for what was Symbility about 7.5 years ago now. Me and my team in client success. So our primary goal is to ensure that companies that trust us to provide solutions to them ultimately get the value that they expect, whilst also ensuring that we continue to deliver increased value and benefit over the course of our relationship with them. We spend a lot of time understanding the businesses and the problems of our clients to try and help them solve them, or where there's a want to do things differently or push things forward. We support our clients to get where they need to be. And from an internal perspective, the team help to ensure that the voice of the customer is heard and that we have a clear view of what clients want from a product perspective and what's happening in the market as well, really.
Yeah, I think, I've obviously got professional experience, certainly with the Symbility product line, and I think what strikes me is, you're a SaaS solution provider, but certainly from my experience, you very much like to get embedded within the client's organization to understand what the actual challenges are versus just selling a system and plugging it in. And I think that is so important when be it an insurer, be it a TPA, adjuster, whatever, are making that investment to size it correctly before switching it on. I think that's really valuable. And from my experience, you've got a great bunch of people that do that. So 2018, Symbility was acquired by CoreLogic. I've been through a similar thing with an acquisition, and there's challenges, integration challenges in particular. But specifically within CoreLogic, what's the last year looked like for you and your team?
Yeah. And by the way, I couldn't agree more on what you've just said. We talk about partnership all the time.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a partnership. We understand the software. Our clients will understand their business, and it's how we can work together then to kind of fill the gaps in both.
Just on that, and I'm not going to mention any names, but you should know. So literally, I'm in my home office, 3 houses down. There is a neighbour of mine who's working with you and your team right now on an integration. And I know him really well, and we bump into each other on the way to the gym and whatnot, and often had a chat. So anyway, as an aside. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's no problem. And so the past year, so it's been a great year. So we've had lots of exciting things happening and been really busy, but we always say we like busy. So this year we've been working with some new clients, but we've also been working on some really impactful change with existing clients, which has really been exciting for the whole team. And I say it's exciting because as a team, I hope that anyone who interacts with us will see that we're all really passionate about what we do, our solutions. We really believe in the difference it can make. And getting the opportunity to support clients to achieve benefit is really rewarding. So working with clients new and existing to help them unlock that value really is key across the business. So it's a key importance across the whole business. So that's why it's so important. One thing that we did this year, so our close relationships with clients and our experience of working in insurance. So I mentioned a little bit my experience, but across the team, the UK team, we have experience in the hundreds of years of working within insurance itself. So whether that be insurance companies or suppliers. And we like to think that us understanding the industry a little bit helps us understand how the software can be applied. And one of the things that led us to do is to bring a development to market that initially helps support clients during weather surge events. So I'll give a bit of background on the product first, because I think it helps to kind of
bring it to life.
So we have a product named Desk Adjuster, which supports users with limited technical experience go through a series of dynamic question and answer based scripts, where we use logic based algorithms to enable users to arrive at a comprehensive, quick, accurate settlement, a scope of works and settlement value. So so you have a detailed view of what's required in the repair, but also the cost. From understanding the challenges that our clients have, and it's common, everyone has to deal with this if you're in the property insurance space, when a storm surge event hits. So our UK client delivery team began working on whether we could build something even more simplified with increased logic to enable desk-based settlement of storm claims. And they managed to do it to derive an outcome in as little as 7 questions. Wow. We've called this rapid settlement. And since launching the storm workflow, we've also launched Impact, and we're going to be bringing some more perils to life in the new year. What we're trying to do with it is essentially support insurers with the high volume but low complexity claim scenarios. So it's not about replacing claim expertise or taking the role that somebody with a lot of claims experience or where a customer needs their hands held. It's about the ones that can be processed quickly because they're low complexity and essentially low value. And if we think about storm in that, so the storm surge scenario, I'm sure most of the people that watch this will know that volumes in that scenario can increase in a day by hundreds of percent, sometimes thousands. I mean, we've seen events in the past where it's been that large. And it's really difficult for insurers and their suppliers to manage that increase in claim volume in such a short amount of time. Because it's just unprecedented. How do you go from having 100 claims in a day to 1,000 claims in a day? It's just really difficult.
I mean, you can't. What happens is, and I've lived through it, you kind of you lose being realistic, because you accept a huge volume of work that under normal BAU you wouldn't be able to handle, and and it happens time and time again. It's kind of a phenomenon, and it's almost as if, well, if I don't accept this work, I won't get the next work, or it's kind of a psychological thing. But what happens is that as an industry collectively, we actually all fail. And worst case scenarios, you see politicians on the news saying how bad the insurance industry is. But sorry, I had to jump in there.
No, it's so true. And it's really kind of exactly what you said, though, because the purpose of the rapid settlement script that we've built, the workflow that it enables, is to give the insurers the ability and choice to settle those claims that can be settled in that way at first notification of loss. So and also enable them to, I mean, one thing that's common in that scenario is that an insurer will mobilize different parts of their business to support on answering the phone to their policyholders. And the good thing about rapid settlement, for example, is that it can be used by anyone with no experience of dealing with property claims before, and you'll get the same outcome. It's guided, it's got the ability to support someone through that journey, and your outcomes are always going to be the same, and it can be used by anyone, anywhere. We want to help insurers and their suppliers with this, like I said, to focus on the claims where they can add most value and their expertise is best utilised, not that every claim has to go through a supply chain that will struggle. Give the suppliers the claims where they can do the repair and they can add value to those claim journeys. And it's about giving choice. So the claims that can go down that route can go down that route, and the claims that need to go down a more traditional route can. And one thing that they get from that as well, from an insurer perspective, is they're not compromising on accuracy of settlement, because you've got a scope of works that sits behind it, and you get the line item level data, so you understand where your spend is after the event. So they'll still be able to understand, as they would in BAU, I've spent X amount of money here, cash settling for slate tiles, for scaffolding, for these things. And you can see opportunity or where your spend is as well from an underwriting perspective. We've seen great outcomes from clients that have started using this, and we were the proud joint winners alongside a GS earlier this year on the Insurance Times Tech and Innovation Awards for best use of technology for customer experience in claims. And just really proud of the outcomes we've been able to deliver for clients that have started using it so far. From a wider product perspective, so we've continued to release product enhancements this year, which continues to push our products forward and our features forward. And that's a benefit of a SaaS software solution, is that any customer of ours gets continued improvements to the feature set. One example of that, Nick, is related to our Link policyholder web app. So at previous tech event, we did a bit of a show and tell of that, but we completely redesigned that this year, as well as improving functionality. So our policyholder web app exposes key claim data to a policyholder relating to their claim, and also allows them to interact in that claim journey. So it gives them the ability to do things like upload and view media, send and receive messages, and provide in the moment feedback, as an example. We originally delivered it about 6 years ago, made some incremental change in between, of course, but we took the time and investment to completely redesign that. And I think it's important because it's a consumer facing application, that we don't sit on our laurels with it, really, because customer expectations so high, technology changes so often. We have to make sure that it's in line with their expectation and doesn't feel like a business-based piece of software that they're having to interact with. It has to be easy to use, and it has to be the user interface has to be easy and simple, whilst also ensuring the insurers get the flexibility they need and the control. We've also done it to enable us to make some changes in the back end that will make it easier for us to expand in the space of self-service and automation, which is really exciting for us. If you think about being able to do things like post-ethanol self-scoping for a policyholder, self-service settlements, guided user experiences for data capture, and that's just like the things at the top of my head, but really thinking about what we can do in the future in that world.
Just one question that just been listening to all of that with interest, and I know that this is something that is really important to the team at CoreLogic. On this rapid settlement desk adjuster, if you like, digitization of the end-to-end claim process, what about vulnerable customers in that process? How can we make sure they don't get lost in that digital journey? I completely agree, and that's why I think it's about which claims and which customers fit in which scenario. And we would never advocate for something that is a desk-based settlement tool to be used if the customer isn't
comfortable using it, but it's about giving the insurer and their customers choice of settlement. So for example, if I made an insurance claim and somebody gave me the option of not me having to wait around in my house to get somebody to come through, I could do potentially a video call and a desk-based questionnaire with somebody. Oh, I'd be amazed. I'd be like, this is great.
Same for me. Yeah, every day. I don't
want to talk to anyone. I'm like,
no.
But yeah, if I could do that, that would be a brilliant service for me. But there will be people who you ask them to do that and they feel overwhelmed. But it's about enabling the insurer and their supply chain and the people that work in the insurance company to be able to focus on those people. So you don't want to focus on me for a low value claim, because I'm quite happy to go through a journey which is simplified. You want to be able to enable them to give the not better service, but the most appropriate service to the people that want that line. And that's what it's about. It's not about replacing customer interaction or customer service or hand-holding certain customers through journeys. It's about giving the insurers the time and the space to be able to do that where it makes sense, I think.
And that's it, isn't it? If you look at any consumer analysis going forwards, the consumer wants choices on everything. But just moving on then, so what trends are you seeing in the insurance market? Not necessarily just specific to claims, just generally, are you seeing any emerging trends that, have some impact on what you're planning for next year?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things that we're seeing. So I'll speak about a couple of things. So I think one of the first things I'll talk about is ecosystems or connection of providers in the insurance landscape. So if we talk about the property example, so often we hear an issue in property claims is the insurance company or the suppliers don't know the current status of a claim, who's doing what or when. And that could be from insurer to supplier, supplier to insurer, or even supplier to supplier. When you've got claims where there's multiple suppliers on a claim, one's waiting for the first to finish their part so they can start the second, there's a huge amount of failure demand that can be driven from that kind of process where they're not collaborating, working on siloed systems. I think all of that, and I know we've spoken about it for many years at I Love Claims conferences and stuff, it's often brought up as, collaboration could be better, people could work together. And I think that's driven real interest in ecosystems. And I think a benefit of that as well, that's kind of coming more to the forefront, is the fact that if you've got people collaborating in one place in an ecosystem type environment, all of the data is in a single data model. So in our example, if people collaborate in our platform, use Claims Connect and our the product set that sits around it, all of the data is in one place in a single data model, which makes it so much easier to analyze the claim data that sits within it, because you're always comparing apples for apples and you can do it in real time. I think as well as an industry, getting away from having suppliers complete massive spreadsheets of data that they then submit monthly, that an insurer then has to try and amalgamate in some way with their claim records and their other supplier data. I think we can move away from that. And the sharing of information amongst all parties can be achieved by either providing software that adds value as part of that ecosystem. So the right tool for the right job, somebody on site who's a surveyor having to build a floor plan and a scope of works, having somebody else who needs to do dynamic question sets to collect data on site, and then having someone in an insurer who wants to see a project plan view of what's happening on the claim so that they can manage the customer. You've got to be able to make it easy to collect that information to make it work. And then where that's not appropriate, there's the use of APIs to connect that data and pass that information back and forth. And I think the ability to easily integrate the systems together using APIs also enables the bringing together of technology providers, which I think's really exciting. When you've got technology providers are doing quite specific things now in the property insurance space. Having that connected with everything else that's happening in a claim is going to be key to make best use of that technology. And from a CoreLogic perspective, we have a number of technology partnership integrations already, but we're really excited because we're launching our partner framework next year. Which will make that even easier. So we have a fully documented web API that's available today, but we're going to make it even easier for technology partners and providers to be able to integrate into our ecosystem, which is really exciting. And if we think about ecosystem, I don't think we can ever forget about the policyholder in it. Like, we can look at it from the business perspective, the benefits, the insurer, the suppliers and technology providers. But when all of the data relating to a claim is in one place, you can start to expose that information to the policyholder and allow them to collaborate with all parties that they have to deal with in one place. I think there has been an expectation in the past for policyholders to log into one portal over there for supplier A, a different portal over there for supplier B. And it's not a great customer experience. And the portals vary so much in how good they are and what they're able to do and how they're able to do it. I think bringing that in one place is key. And the insurer can also then control their policyholder journey. I think increasingly we're seeing that insurers want to own their policyholders' journey with them. People will collaborate, but they're responsible for the way that the customer engages, what they're able to do and that kind of thing. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think of, I won't name them, but some of your favorite apps, I'm just thinking of a travel one right now. Why is it my go-to app? Because it does exactly that. It brings several elements of the travel journey into one space, just simplifying decision-making, etc. So, wow, look at the time. I think we've got time for one more. And this is, I see this an awful lot in my day job. So talk about ESG, in particular, supply chain integrate. I mean, you've kind of just touched on it a little bit there, but just your thoughts on supply chain integration around ESG. What's your thinking? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's actually one of the things that I had as well, and not trends, but a focus for insurers. So the focus from insurers around their environmental impact is only set to continue. And intensify, actually, I think, as some of the target dates that insurers have announced get closer. Insurers will need to, I think, continue to work with their suppliers closely and determine where they already collect some data that can help with recording some of the required metrics. So I think we spoke about it at the conference. You know, there's a huge amount of data that's created as part of a claim journey. Some of that can already be used and is used by some insurers actually to determine kind of where they have opportunity to make that better. And I think the insurer has to really look at where they then need extra data for what they've already got. And I think around the ESG bit as well, we are seeing that insurers are looking at where they can reduce the requirement for site visits themselves. Where another method could be utilised. So, for example, using things like live video calling or technology to aid desk-based settlements, like we discussed earlier. And then the other trend that I was going to mention, Nick, is just around self-service and automation, which we spoke about a little bit earlier. Ultimately, insurers are looking to enable their customers to digitalize more of their journeys, to do multiple things, whether that be create claims, view information online, provide updates on existing claims, or automate routing and settlement. I think this will be a focus that continues for years to come, if I'm honest, as technology moves forward. Because when it's done well, the benefits are huge, you know, reducing pressure on claims operations, and also to live up to the policyholder's expectation of simple claims.
Yeah.
I think we often hear the example of a customer having a broken TV or iPhone, and their expectation is not to have to sit on a call for ages and speak to a supplier and then get the replacement a week later. I actually think in some pockets of that, there's been some quite good progress.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In some of these simple claim scenarios. I think the exciting thing is what more is possible. So, and I think that's why as a business, we're excited about that part of it for us, but more generally, what's going to come to market over the next couple of years to be able to facilitate that in a better way. And I know Mike Porter's presenting at the event next week, and he'll be talking a bit more about trends affecting claims technology then as well. But it's an exciting time, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that I think the direction that you're going in, sort of opening up the opportunity for even like insurtech startups that have got some emerging technology that, they're going to struggle to scale it on their own. They have to go down to the old private equity route, etc. To have an opportunity for a partnership with a business like CoreLogic, I think is really cool. Wow, where did the time go? I really enjoyed that, and
Yeah, me too.
I learned a few things as well, quite a few things. I made some notes, so I'll test you next time.
Yeah, don't do that.
We're together. So yeah, fantastic, Leah. A great way to round off a week.